Basically, I will be taking this piece of material right here, and I'll cut about 3/4 of it off to get a basic shape. Now, that's the start. I tried to improve my hand in drawing and to give you an idea. This is basically what you're looking at now, and this is what I'm going to end up with. Very sparse foliage. The plant was grown in my front yard for a number of years, and it's 15 years old. Never been pruned since it was propagated and planted by me. That's why I know how old it is. It's a piece that I started from a rooted cutting, and I've just put it in the ground and let it grow. Some of you were up looking at these. This is Chamaecyparis obtusa from seed. There's a sister plant, same age. This one was growing a little bit different, so I decided to make it into a bonsai. And the reason I brought it in is so you can see that bonsai is training of the material. It is not a special tree. Okay? This little azalea was a gift from someone at Christmas time. And it's one of these things where you stand there and smile and say, "Oh, thank you very much." And you already got one that size out in your backyard, you know? So these are things that we experience in the horticulture world. I was hoping this would show its head tonight. It's a night blooming ceres. This is the third time around. And it looks like, well, this is not going to open tonight. It will open tomorrow night. Years ago, we'd sit out and watch it open, and now we say, "We'll see you in the morning." Usually by morning, it's still nice bloom, and we've had our nice rest. Okay? Now, with that said, I'm turning this so that you can kind of see in there. I hope you can get a general idea of where I'm going with this. The problem that you have in bonsai is people get started in it and they learn to see the bonsai in a piece of shrubbery. And the first thing they want to do is prune. Very few want to sit down and kind of sketch, this is what I want to do. And I look at them and say, well, did you build a house without a plan? And both people, they kind of look at me and say, well, bonsai is a couple of years. When I finish doing the basic shape to this tonight, I will look at 3 to 5 years before I will have a tree that I want to put on a shelf. It's not an overnight situation. It's not instant coffee. You know, it takes time. The tree has to grow. It has to adjust to the pot, because next spring, this tree will be transplanted into a pot about that size, from here to here. It will be reduced even more to create a visual balance. The pot is not too big for the tree is not too big for the pot. You have to have that nice balance. And when you look at nature, the way she grows trees for us, there are many different things that we have to keep in mind. She has space for the birds to grow in. This right now, you can barely get your fingers to it. Okay, so I got to open it up. You open it up, sunlight gets in, the tree will do better. Wind, rain, and sunlight will encourage growth. Never fails. So, now that I've given you kind of an overview,
Do you want us to hold our questions, or can we ask questions?
Ask questions now.
Did the boxwood start out in the ground, or did it start out in that pot?
It started out as a little piece of rooted cutting about that size. When I had enough root, I put it in the ground. Okay?
So you just put it in the pot to bring it in tonight to work on it?
Yes, ma'am.
And then my other question is, are there rules with coming up with the design? Because there could be lots of different designs involved.
The golden rule is 2/3, okay? Your first branch should be about 2/3 the total height of your tree. And you balance as you go up, okay? If you don't balance, okay, and you got foliage here and here and here and here, okay, you got a windswept tree. You understand what I mean by windswept? The wind is constantly blowing this direction. All of the foliage grows on one side. All right? In nature, you will see storms break a branch, and in a couple of years, that tree has balanced out and grown new branches. Two things you have to remember in all plants. If you cut the roots and the top, the plant tries to replace everything that you have cut by producing more. And I was talking with Jerry earlier today. I said, most people with a house plant, they get it, and when it gets to a certain point, they can want a bigger pot. Prune the roots and put fresh soil in. Because every time you cut a root, you got a root coming along like so. Every time you cut that root is going to produce 2 more and sometimes 4 to try to replace it. Okay? So that's a good general rule of thumb. Now, we look at this and we say, boy, that's a real mess in there. How in the world can you see a tree? Okay? Well, first thing we want to do is kind of open it up so we can see in there. Okay? So, bird can fly through there now, right? According to Japanese, you must buy Japanese tool to do bonsai. They have developed a concave cutter. It makes a nice cut that heals very nice. It will allow you to cut smooth right on the branches, okay? They have different types of tools that they have developed for making these cuts to encourage healing. And this just happened to be one of the things. Yes?
In pruning a regular tree, they tell you when a branch comes out, there's that swollen collar. And
Yeah.
You're not supposed to cut off the collar. Is it different here?
The Japanese like to tell you what, pass that around. Look at it closely, it's a V shape. And the theory being that with the V shape, the carrion is going to grow over and make it be smooth and not a lump. Okay? If you look at that cut very closely, it's almost in a V shape. Now I'm going to use a different tool to show you a different type cut. They call this a knuckle cutter because it's shaped almost like a knuckle. Okay? And when you make a cut with this, it's a little bit different. Okay? Since I know I want to get a lot of big stuff out of the way, I'll try to get a nice piece so you can see what the knuckle cutter. Now if you look at that closely, you can see it's not a smooth cut. You see it better on the piece that's left. It's more of a concave so that as the carrion layer starts to grow, it will cover it nicely. So, begin to get over here, beginning to look like something, boy. If you disagree, please speak up. I don't mind.
Pete, do you pinch the new growth tips on the boxwood to try to, you just let it go?
Just let it go. And the reason I'll here. See what it's doing in the new growth? It's getting so compact. You know, pass that around so they can all see it. This is why this particular boxwood makes excellent bonsai trees, because you don't have to slave over it day in and day out. You get your basic shape and you let it grow and lightly prune it to maintain the shape that you want as that tree grows. And if you see something like this growth right here, that's what they call reversion. You want to eliminate that. Okay? This particular boxwood, or Kingsville boxwoods, as this is, they came off of the English boxwood. It was a sport, a witch's broom on the English boxwood. And consequently, it was very compact, and periodically it tries to revert back to its parent.
Yeah, you can't find those Kingsville birds.
Oh,
And I forgot using the Leon's miniatures, they're at Bonsai Nursery up
yeah,
up the house.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I've been looking for years. I haven't been able to find, I could find Morris Fisher as the closest I can find.
Well, when you stop and think about it, you know, it's a tree that, like I said earlier, talking with the people, it doesn't grow fast, so nurserymen are not interested in it. Because to get one, you know, 15 years to get it up to this size, they want to charge you the price for it. And what they have found is the average person doesn't want to pay the price for such a small plant. You know, most Americans, if they say, you tell them $150 for a plant, they want to see something big, you know, and This hobby has gotten me into all kinds of dwarf plants, mainly because they're rewarding. And as I continue to stay here and get old, I don't have to fool with them, trying to control them. They maintain their own self, and that I really like, because bending down, it's a long ways to get down there now. Now, this is where people usually see what I do, and they get a little, kind of look at it and say, whoa. Don't go there, please. I will get quite a few out of that. If anybody wants to try rooting, please feel free to take. Well, there's a special process that I go through to get stuff to root, okay? And first of all, I got to get builder's sand and put it in a box, because builder's sand holds moisture. And I take the plant and stick it in there. Then I go get my blowtorch and my machete and say, okay, let's get jumping, fella. Because I mean business. It's very easy. Just plain old construction sand, builder's sand. I found that to be a good medium for promoting root growth, holding the moisture, and the plants develop. I've tried all different types of things. People used to tell me years ago, you have to stratify and keep it moist and all this stuff. And I used to bug my wife with, I got these seeds in the ice box, I got this in the ice box. And one day somebody said, while I was walking, and I can't remember if it was somebody whispering to me or what, said, Mother Nature doesn't do all of that. So I started trying to mimic Mother Nature. I started having success. When I stopped trying to do everything these nurserymen were claiming you had to do to get good plants, I started getting good success with my effort to propagate and to root plants, okay? Huh? Not until they are good and strong in growth, okay? After I take them out of the medium for rooting and pot them up, then I might feed them a month afterwards. So, are we getting there? Slowly but surely, we're still very heavy up here. Now, I've been doing most of this work from behind. You are the ones getting to see the way the tree is coming up. Now I have to go walk around to see from the front side, because there's some stuff in here that definitely have to come out so that we will begin to see a basic tree. We're getting to look, yes ma'am. Ba-
All sides look good, or one side favor?
Basically, balance, harmony is what you're going to try to do. You want it to be pleasing to your eye. If one side is all looking good and the other one isn't, it's not pleasing to your eye. If I put this on a turntable and spin it, all of it should look good to you. In doing this, there's one thing you definitely want to do, and that's something that we don't think about that much, is when you go to a big museum, viewing art and whatnot, you always have something that attracts your eye right to the painting, right? There's a focal point. And when you look at a picture, there's one point on that picture that you're going to see first. And that's usually referred to as a focal point. And in bonsai, you want that focal point to draw the person's eye in so that they will see the tree that you're trying to create. Okay? So, with that said, you want balance. In other words, up here, I can't have it like a bush, just thick. I got to have it open all the way through. All right? And having it open, I'm creating a focal point. A point where people can look at and say, aha, I can see what's going on there. And that is the main object of what you're trying to do. Okay?
You do also have a planned front though, right, that you try to find the
That's
best view.
That's what I'm trying to have pointed at everybody in the audience right now. Okay? And I think I'm almost there. I got some more shortening back to do and get off some of the dead stuff that didn't make it because it was just too thick. No sunlight getting in. Consequently, the plant, no air, branches will die back. You see that even in nature. You can almost say they grow so much that they overgrow themselves, okay? This is way too long. Now, you're gonna get a good glimpse of where I said I was going with this. There's some more stuff out here that I would love to shorten, but I want to wait until it develops more branching back in here. And now that it's good and open, I think it has the basic shape that I wanted to create is almost there. Some more pruning to not have so much growth smacking you in the face as you look at this. To give it, as the lady said, what side is the best view? You had asked what, if you look at it, where's the best focal point? Periodically, even I have to step back, take a look. Oh yeah, getting there.
Now, when you do this initial pruning, is there a maximum limit that of the amount that you'll prune off? Or you're not worried about it going into shock or anything, or taking too much off?
I'm not worried about it, not this particular tree, okay? I have found Kingsville, like I said earlier, to be very forgiving, okay? Very strong in their growth and bounce back. I mean, next spring, it will be a total new flush of foliage in there because it's getting light and it's getting air now. And that will allow me to reduce this even more. Okay? Yes?
It's easy to visualize the alternating branches, but we always talk about a back branch. Now, how do you know where to place a back branch?
The tree showed me where this is a very strong back branch in itself. If this is the front, okay, looking at it from here, is this the back branch? Yeah, I got tons of them back here. And some of them will probably end up coming off. But for now, I think we are just to a point where we can say we created balance. Now you've been doing bonsai for a couple of years. Am I confusing or did I? Come on, please.
No, I mean, I can't figure out what the front is. No.
Well, the reason I say this is the front, look at this space. You see where this is coming out, the roots? Well, that usually will help you find the front. You look at the base, then you follow the line going up. If it's a nice straight line, is that pleasing to your eye? But if the line has some light movement in it, is that pleasing to your eye? Okay? If you look, there's movement coming up. And the movement is alternating with the branches. That's going to help me create the balance that I would like to get as this tree develops. Okay? Questions? Anybody? Yes.
What do you do with the boxwood has a tendency to like puff on the pads and just get a round ball. Do you work to flatten that out?
You want to control the growth, as you said. It gets like that. Okay? So basically, what you want to get in here and do is take some of the branches out. Okay? So that's going to start giving you what they like to refer to as a pad of foliage. Okay? And then if you start pinching back on the new growth, it's just going to get that much nicer. Okay? So, working with boxwoods are fun. You don't have to put wire on a tree to make it into a nice bonsai. A lot of people feel that you have to have copper wire on it. You don't. I haven't put not one piece of wire on this. Okay? And to say perfect, no, it is not. To say that, yes, compared to what I started off with, all that foliage, does it look older now?
So when did you develop the plan?
Last week. After Jim said, oh, do the bonsai, okay, fine. No, I knew, he and I had been talking for some time. And walking around my yard, I found this one. I had several of them in the area. And I just decided to Okay, this one is good and strong. I will take that in and do it. I mean, it's, the last one that I had in my collection died while I was waiting for hip replacement surgery. Yeah, it was difficult with 2 walking canes to keep things alive because I had to have both hips done. And I was in a wheelchair before. The pain was so great that a wheelchair was the easiest for me to get around in, and that's kind of difficult in a backyard with a big watering hose trying to get everything and whatnot. So I have replenished most of the things that I want, but by another token, time doesn't stop, it marches on. Our age marches on. So I figured go ahead and do one. If it lives, fine. If it doesn't, well, try again. And that's where most people make their mistake. With bonsai trees, with orchids, with roses, I planted one and it didn't live. And I get so tired of hearing people, you know, I had a bonsai tree and it died. But they never say, I didn't water it, I didn't feed it. And when you talk to people about, what are you doing in your landscape? Well, I did this and I did that, fine. When did you feed it? I don't know. Well, when did you last eat? Okay? Plants, they're living items, you know. I mean, we got to realize what we do for ourselves, we got to think about the plants too. And what I'm finding is kelp is a very good source for dealing with all kinds of plants. I started putting kelp on my orchids, and I think my wife has 4 or 5 blooming orchids inside right now. Good stuff, you know.
So when will you transplant that to the smaller pot?
Usually between March 15th and April 15th. Okay? Spring of the year, when things are becoming alive again, they're actively growing. Have you ever noticed that spring of the year, everything seems to take off fast? So you get it done before it gets that push to say, let me get going. And that's why most trees will respond well if you transplant them in March 15th, depending on the weather now. Years ago, I had a Japanese maple I had grown for 30 years, transplanted, and we had that freak Easter snow and freeze and killed it. So, yes.
Where is it going to spend the winter?
Out in my backyard,
Okay, on the ground or in the ground?
on the ground.
So just in that pot?
Yep, I will mulch it up to about here. Wind is your biggest killer.
When?
Wind, not rain, not snow. Snow is like an insulating blanket, okay, on most plants. Because when the snow covers it, the snow is moisture, and the wind can't dry it out. Wind is your biggest killer.
What mulch do you use? Which mulch do you use?
Mulch, whatever I can steal quick. I like pine needles, okay, when I can get them. And my looking at it is pine needles will let the moisture through, but keep the wind from getting down, drying out that pot, okay? I used to go wherever I saw pine trees on the parking lot, I'd go, can I rake them up for you? You know, people, oh yeah, go ahead, we got a live one here. But you go buy pine needles. To put a small little bale, they charge you a fortune for it. Okay? But that's some of the best mulch you can get. When I mulch my roses with pine needles, I try to put them in there at least 2.5 to 3 inches. I'm not going out there weeding the rest of the summer. But finding them, you know, that's something that's difficult. My basic soil mix is a hard pumice that I get from California. And when I say hard, you have to take a hammer. It's not a soft pumice. And the reason I like that is because it keeps its shape. It holds moisture. And the roots, by being an organic product and a volcanic product, it's very sharp. And every time the roots hit it, they split. It promotes fine root growth. That, and I use another American-made product called Turfus. Well, they use it for all kinds of things. And basically, in these pots, I don't want anything that will fall through a quarter, an eighth of a 16th of an inch screen wire. I don't want it in the pot. I want only the coarse stuff because I want air and I want the water to go in and out. Okay? If your medium is too fine, it will plug up the drain holes. And that's even on houseplants. Okay? So what I use is basically a Turfus and pumice. And just because I believe that it's good stuff, superfine soil conditioner. It is the finest pine bark you can get. And it's well composted, superfine soil conditioner. I used to know different places that carry it, but I don't get out that much anymore shopping. And when I do find it, I used to try to buy enough at one time if I can get a good price on it and just drag it in. I recently stopped by Sisler Stone Place on Lee Highway in Virginia, and they had some of the coarsest builder sand I've ever seen. They just call it coarse sand. And boy, that's good stuff. Not a lot of fine stuff, you know. You go to Home Depot or these places, Lowe's, and they want to sell you play sand. Well, that stuff it's no good. I mean, it's just so fine, you put it down and it packs. You ever notice how a house plant, if you buy potting soil, after a year, how it is kind of shrunk and just packed? Roots they're not getting any oxygen. So how are they gonna grow? Roots need oxygen. That's why I want very porous soil mediums. Okay? Mainly because I want my microorganisms to start growing in the soil. Now, we've had a lot of rain right now. How many of you have seen mushrooms growing in the grass?
Mine grew through my bricks.
Yeah, there's your microorganisms. Okay?
Do you add that to the pumice and the soil? I think.
Okay,
Do you
Turfus.
add microorganisms when you start? Because you can buy bags of it.
You can?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll tell you why. It's not scientifically proven. How many different microorganisms are there out there? Tons. Pine trees are the only ones that have something growing around their roots that you can physically see with your eye. It's like a white fungus around pine trees. You know, when you see storm blow them over and you see all this like white styrofoam stuck all over the little roots. Those are the microorganisms for pine trees. That I will save and add to the new soil mix. Okay? This, since I dug it, I tried to leave as much of the original soil still around the roots. By next spring, it will be throughout this whole pot, I hope. Okay? Then I will, when I transplant it, I will clean out as much as I can and maybe add 1/8 of the old soil to make sure I get some of the microorganisms back into the soil. Okay? Next question.
So in the garden, you had it, that was normal soil, like clay soil, or did you amend also the garden soil with humus and
Honey,
sand?
I'm 76 years old. I'm not going to do all that work. No, a lot of organic matter. Okay? Over the years, if you mulch and add organic matter, your soils will automatically develop that. Okay? And I use only organic plant foods when I do add something. Mainly because chemical stuff, it's good, it has served its purpose, but if you happen to get it in too strong, you will kill the microorganisms. Okay? And that's why you hear farmers talk about they have to use even more, you have to put even more fertilizer on your lawn to get it to look like something. And we burn up everything that's in there that would promote growth with chemicals and whatnot. And if we use organics, we're not going to do that. And you look at the different things. How many of you save banana peels? What do you do with it?
Compost, I compost everything, coffee grounds, banana peels.
Okay, very good. Most people, they tell you to eat bananas for potassium. Do you know what the percentage of potassium is in a banana peel?
Probably more than in the fruit.
41%. Okay? Years ago, I read in Organic Farming and Garden to put 1 banana peel around a rose bush every spring. Not more than 1. And let it decompose right there. They say if you put more than 1, it could burn the roots. I hope I can live long enough to come back to you in about 10 years, 20 years and tell you, oh yeah, it works. No, staying organic works. Jim was kind enough to show up with a whole truckload of good stuff from the stables. I had nothing better to do than to take 1 shovel of that, 1 shovel of Arlington County's leaf mold, mix them up, let it set for about a month. Then I would put water on it, and as the water would drain through, I would catch it. And that was my tea. Okay? All of these are little things we can do that don't cost us a dime. All right?